Majo John Madden, they call me Juanito in Mexico. I'm in my hotel room on the east side of Asheville, North Carolina. And I just signed up to go to a Toastmasters meeting here in Asheville, down in a neighborhood that I know and love really well. And Toastmasters is something I love. At one point, 35 years ago in my life, I was passionately involved in Toastmasters in the western suburbs of Chicago. And I was actually involved in two Toastmasters groups. One was just a regular group, just folks, and I loved that group. And out of that group came my favorite poem ever, a love poem about also Kundalini Yoga, really. And quite outrageous poem that requires a certain environment to perform. And it was titled, "You and I Could Both Be Getting Some Right Now." And people here in Asheville would request that poem for their birthdays, and somewhere I have a copy of it. And whereas in Toastmasters, usually back then I would have speeches pretty tightly crafted, memorized. These days I do all my talks improvisationally, and I'm going to do this one that way. And I'm going to tell for the group tonight, I'm going to send them a note saying, ask me about how in Chicago I won the coaching contest out of 1,600 Toastmasters in the Chicagoland area. What was my formula for winning the coaching contest? And it's a pretty simple formula. Give people about 6 things they did great and 1 thing they could work on. But the better story is ask me about how I got knocked out of the motivational speaking contest in about the 3rd or 4th round. It was a talk about my mom. My mom was a pip. I just celebrated her birthday on September 17th. She would have turned 112. And I'll include a link to a long talk I did about my mom. She was the toughest relationship of my life and the best. And it's a fair thing to say that I could not have had the life I've had without getting free of her influence on me. I was the prince. They waited 9 years for my birth, and I was the little prince. And my mom gave me 2 messages as a kid. One was, you're the prince, you can do anything you want. You're the apple of my eye. And the second one was, you're a continual and ongoing disappointment to me. It's true. That's what our early years were like. And for a lot of my life, I felt like I could only be free living 600 miles away from her. But when I took the S training in my 30s, you get marching orders there to make amends to people. And I made amends with my graduate school faculty, went to Rochester to do that. And then finally the instructions from my inner pilot were, you move back to Chicago from the Rochester, I guess I was in Syracuse then, and make peace with your mom. And I spent several years, her last several years, she died at age 88. And she had maybe the most peaceful and most beautiful death you ever could imagine. And our relationship was perfect at that point. And I still grieved like a monster. I surprised myself by how deep the grieving was. And one part of that process of grieving her was a talk I gave for Toastmasters for the motivational speaking contest about her core message to me. Her healthy message was, only you. There are things in this life that only you can do. And I sang as part of that, only you can make this world seem right. Only you can make the darkness bright. And it goes on and on. I sang snatches of it, different parts of the talk, and then ended with really singing it. And when we left the hall, my friends who were there said, that was easily the best talk, but they didn't know what to do with it, because motivational speaking contest is supposed to give a rah-rah big call to action, and yours was poignant. And you sang, and they sure didn't know what to do with that. But my mom, and Toastmasters, I love Toastmasters. It's wonderful, people stretching themselves. These days I like to say, the most powerful way to grow spiritually is to do something physically you didn't know you could do. And giving a talk is, public speaking, they say, is the thing that's most terrifying to most humans. And so people in Toastmasters are every week facing their fears, stretching, getting bigger than they were before. So I bet here in Asheville, which I've recently returned to after being gone for 5 years, what I'm getting about Asheville is that it attracts stunning people that I want to attract to my mentoring group. And I'm betting there'll be great people there tonight. Thanks.